Welcome back. We're going to take us a little trip. We back down here at Rocky Creek. Now for those of you that watched in the last video behind me, here's the area I showed you was a swimming hole. If you'll remember, at the end of that trip we went across and found a little creek and just kind of went down the sides. Where we're going to go today is we're going to try to cross over that creek. Two goals. We're going to cross that creek, slip that creek, see what we see. Then we're going to come back to the Rocky Creek, slip toward 98 and see what we see there. I apologize to you up front about the wind. There's nothing I can do about that. The audio is going to be terrible. So for those of you that watched the last video where we crossed over the creek and went down the other side and we came to where the old trestle was and the old crab house, I've done a little bit of research this week. I couldn't find nothing on the crab house. Nothing. I did find out that the Highway 98, they redone the whole thing. Our section, the funding was allocated between 1951 and I can't remember if it was 54 or 58. So we know that the highway moved from the left side of Hampton Springs to the right side, somewhere between 51 and 58. So looking, and I can't get on the other side, that belongs to a private landowner. I haven't been able to get a hold of them yet to obtain permission. But when looking at the way it's from this side, looking at the way it's built, it seems like it's right in the path of where that trestle would have went. So just based on that loose stuff right there, I would say that the crab house was probably built after the 50s when the bridge was relocated and the road was relocated. That's a guess. So anyhow, our two goals today, like I told you, we're going to slip down that little creek that we found and see if it goes around to where the boiler room was. And then we're going to slip down the Rocky Creek toward 98 and just see what we see. We're just strolling, there ain't no sense in it. I'll speed it up. And then when we come to something that's interesting, we'll slow it down and we'll hang out and talk about it just a minute. So let's get over there and get slipping. There's our stream. Step down here first. Looks like a pretty sandy bottom. I want to be sure before we just bail off in it. Let's just slip down it right here and see what we see. You can smell the sulfur in it. Old tire. And the dirt up there. A couple old trees just fell over in it. As I'm going, I'm looking around on the banks for any kind of structure or man-made objects. Seems like it's widening on up. Trying to look for a moccasin laying around. I think we're gonna get up on the shore now. Too much debris really right through here. I'm not looking to get hurt. There have been a lot of dishes with the Hampton Springs logo that's been found down here throughout the woods, different things. As far as the videos I did, I looked beforehand. I didn't really see a whole lot of exploring videos down here where people were actually getting out, seeing what was here. And as I told you, as a teenager, I was in and out down here a lot. We never really messed around on this side. A big hill here. Good place to get on a snake or wake up an alligator. Trying to hunt a warm spot. We're working our way just right down this creek. We're just working our way down the creek and we're gonna hit a few spots into it till we get past all that debris. All the while, we are looking to see if we see any kind of man-made objects on this side of the creek. If you remember, and if you didn't watch it, you should, that last video on the other side, we found some concrete pedestals and a pipe. We're looking on this side, see if we can find something that co-matches with that across the creek. The way two of them was set up, I'm not thinking that it was anything to do with a bridge or anything. I think it was a structure on the edge of this creek. And I do know that further on up from that is the boiler room. Now, if you look, right out through there. That's a little bit higher. I don't know that that's anything, but we're gonna slip over that way and see. I always love when you see these cabbage trees that's been left alone. Nobody's cut them to eat them or butchered them. So pretty and picturesque out in the wild. Later on, we're gonna venture out there, but for now, there's another one in cabbage. They're all over here. We're gonna keep slipping down this creek, looking for man-made objects. So we're coming up on this spot I just showed you where I said it looked like it was kind of a raised bed, and it's not. It's kind of a trickery of the eye. It's got a little different type of grass growing on it, and it just made it look higher. We're continuing on. Old dishpan of some sort. Let's see if we see any markings. The bottom's done rotted out of it. Don't have any kind of markings on it. Had a green lip. You can kind of see that. I would say it's probably been here a while. Give you old dishpan. Let's ease on. We don't know that was from the hotel. There was life here, living here before the hotel. So let's just ease on. We're gonna ease back up there and see if we can get closer back to the creek. Looking for stuff like that, you don't never know. You pay attention, and usually if you get where stuff was, you'll find some type of man-made, whether it be trash or. Now on these creeks too, a lot of times people dump stuff for years in areas, so it's just hard to say. I see something over there. Let's ease that way. Looks like iron on the side of that creek. Can you see it right there? It might not be anything, but let's see if I can get you where you can see it. Right there, I don't know what it is. Let's slip over there. Just an old galvanized garbage can. And as I told you, down here for years, the other side was used for a trash dump. I know that part. That turned out to be nothing. Let's just slip on through here and see what we see. One thing I will caution you about with these cabbage trees, guinea walls, I believe is what they're called. If you decide to get off of your trails and go to moving palmettos, be extremely careful. I have stirred these up before, and they ain't nothing worse than a bunch of guinea walls mad. Looks like right there might be another small creek that comes in. So let's ease over there and see. Looks to be more where water's running off of the flats during high water tables. We're gonna ease on forward. Then again, you get in a spot like this and everything else has got trees everywhere, and you get in a spot like this and they don't nothing grow. I don't know. On a little hill here. Trying to get a little better look. We're gonna head right through there and try to get back up on the creek. Pine trees, oak trees, cabbage trees. Let's slip over there. And you can hear the cars coming on the highway side, 98. Look at that magnificent oak right there across the river. Got a tree overturned up here. Anytime I come to a tree turned up, I like to look under it. I have, believe it or not, one time found an arrowhead laying underneath it. So you never know if that tree growed over the years, growed down through whatever was there, and then it blows over. We are in the hurricane state. We do get a lot of tropical storms here in Perry. If you're out hiking anytime, I don't suggest running your hand just up in there, but stop a minute and look under it. You never know what you might see or find. So I was hoping to find some concrete to match what we had found across the river over here. So that would have told me a little bit maybe, but not finding it makes me think more and more that had nothing to do with a bridge, had more to do with the structure, which is kind of exciting too, because there were several bottling plants that ship bottled water all over the country. And this one, you know, it was here at the hotel. It was not inside the hotel. There's no real accounting for where it was. Makes sense that it may have been near a creek like this, because I'm sure in the earlier times they had a way of damming this up, and it was probably a higher flow back whenever it was used as a motel. So we're just gonna keep slipping and see what we see. We're getting more into some pines. Very important thing in the woods, whether you're just hiking to relax or whether you're just out on a trail walk, pay attention. Every now and then stop and look around. Whether you're hiking looking for something, you'll be able to see man-made stuff more that might have would have normally blended in. If you're hunting wildlife, you'll come across wildlife that you might not have seen if you were just tramping through the woods. Take a minute, ease through there, explore, hike, trail watch, whatever you do, and just enjoy the beauty of the surroundings around you. Stop every now and then and look around. You'll see a lot more and find a lot more. You know, something I'm looking for now, and I never really paid attention before, but as watching some of these other groups, especially, I don't know if he liked me calling his name or not, but one guy that goes around a lot here in Florida, he talks about the catface trees. Now, growing up hunting them woods on the other end of this town, I was not really that entwined. Never really thought much about it. I'd see them in museums, but when I went to watching him on here, this other guy, he was talking about, now it's got my interest peaked, because I know there's got to still be some in these woods. So, not necessarily this pack, but some on down, because turpentine industry here in Taylor County was large. I'm always, now that I'm more intrigued in it, I'm looking for one as I'm walking, just to be able to see it. So that'll be cool when we cross that threshold that day. Let's slip on down. We're still chasing this little creek right here. A big pine. See a hill right there. Not sure. Let's slip over and see what it is. Might not be nothing. I don't know. It's just a hill out in the middle of nowhere. You're not allowed to dig or use metal detectors down here. I would definitely say there's something buried right there. I mean, if you look around, there's not another hill made like that. Either something's buried there, or at some point somebody dug something from here and piled the dirt there. But the way that dirt's looking right there, I would just about bet you there's something buried right there. And it's been there a long time, whatever it is. You can see the algae formed over it. That's not a rock. We can't hit it with a metal detector or any of that. They would have us for sure. I see an open spot over there. We're getting off our track of the river, but let's slip right there since it's so close and just see what that is. And throughout these woods, you'll notice that some of these stumps are cut off even. And it's just kind of randomly. So this is that open spot. Nothing really here. I do see remnants of an old cool looking dead oak tree. There's some bottles of some sort. That one's busted. There's not any writing on it. If I had to guess, I would say that was some type of old insecticide bottle. And here's a mason jar. Still got a lid on it with holes in it. Doesn't appear to be nothing inside. Let's take the lid off of it. It's been there a while. Nothing inside of it. I just throwed it against something else, a rock. Nothing extravagant there, but we will take a minute to look around and see if we see any other bottle. In this same little open area, there's a brick. I wonder if this wasn't part of a trash dump of some sort on the other opposite side. Let's slip around right here just a minute, just see what we see. There's a bottle. It's an Anheuser symbol. I don't know if there's a way to date bottles or not. Don't litter. 85, please don't litter. Not sure. Throughout the edges now as I'm slipping around, I'm seeing a lot of trash. It just makes me wonder if this wasn't some old road before it was took over and people used to dump trash maybe down here. It says Red Rock Cola. Enjoy Red Rock Cola. Let's see what it says on the back here. Containing carbonated water, sugar, cola flavors, and caramel. Enjoy the sparkling, rich flavor. Not sure how old that is. We'll do a little research. We've gotten a little off path here. Just bear with me. Old boy I become acquaintances with through work revealed to me this past week he is actually a bottle hunter. So I'm going to look right here and see what all I see. Wait a minute. What is that? Okay. All right. The Hampton Springs Hotel. It's probably about 1/8 of a mile through there. And out here, I just come across this. Now what this is, I'm not sure, but I would say it's definitely from that era. Hollow in the center, there's an old fan blade there. So we just went from a bottle checking out to we found something here. So I'm gonna slip around right here and see if I can find something to match that with. And that might not be tied into that. That might be a base of an old fireplace. I don't know. I would say it sometimes somebody has dug around it though. But it's done in the same style. So I'm gonna slip around right here and see what I can see. Not sure if it's any relation to it. Because you're not allowed to dig in here and uncover nothing. But this is a pit right here, small pit. That little rock stop brick base we found is just on the other side of that bush. So I don't know if that correlates. Wait a minute. Look right there. There's something brick. Let's see what that is. I'll give you a little better view. All right. Now, the pit I just showed you is over there. We're here, and that first set of bricks is right there on where that brush pile is. So, but it doesn't seem to correlate to the same kind of lineup. But now this might be the top that's been pushed off of something with some machinery, or you don't know. And there's no way to be able to see what may be under the ground here. So we're going to slip right around here and just keep seeing what we see. Old squirrel nest right there. So not being a hiking expert, but just using a little bit of common sense, which may not amount to much, I can see that this is a square structure, whatever it may be. So it makes sense in architecture. If it was a base for a column or a base for a corner of a building or something like that, or even if it was a fireplace, it'd be somewhere around the building. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow these lines. We're going to walk that way and see what we see, and we're going to walk that way and see what we see, and then we're going to follow this side and go that way and that way. So it might not be nothing else. This might not even be tied to the Hampton Springs. Being hollow in the center, it may have been a well. You don't never know, and they just filled it in. So it might be the only thing out here on a nature walk. You can see that the rest of the trees out there are older than this, but all through that brushy clear spot, which starts about where I told you up there, no, it was just the grass, that there's no large trees. So this could have been part of their trail system or roads, or who knows. Anyhow, we're going to see what we can see. We just easing around right here where we found that and seeing what we see. If nothing else, we're enjoying some beauty. We're not going to get too far here because we're going to work our way back to the creek. And after the creek, we're going to go on back. I do notice all through here, there's holes like it's been dug out. That might not amount to nothing, I don't know. I do see them. And there is the possibility that that has nothing to do with the Hampton Springs Hotel. If you just do a little bit of research, you'll find out there were settlements here along these outskirts way before the Hampton Springs ever popped up. And the train actually came through this area. There were already people living here. So that could have been part of that. So unfortunately, we're going to ease back to the river. We haven't passed any signs or any fences, but I do see structures right there. As I told you, I don't trespass on people's personal, private property. We've inspected around this, hadn't really seen nothing else. We might hit it a little further later on. But for now, we're going to ease back to that creek. And this very well could have been part of a tram. That might be what that fireplace is. There could have been a structure right there. It might not have been a fireplace. But if you look on some of the old maps, and I don't put them on here because they're copyrighted, I might hand draw some though, that's a good idea. All the way through when the logging camps were on down, there were trams that already ran through here before Hampton Springs ever came here. Like I say, you don't really see no other areas, and it's kind of a pattern here. So this very well could be an old road bed. Anyhow, let's get back to the creek and get back on task. The more I'm looking at it, the more I'm thinking that may have been at one time maybe the edge of somebody's house. All around where we found these first bottles when we first got off the trail, now that I'm coming back, I'm noticing broke bottles and the thickness of these bottles. Look, there's even some blue glass. And that pit that's dug right there leads me to believe that was a trash mound. Now, it could have been part of the hotel stuff. I don't know. But piece of old clay piping. But I would say these broke pieces is probably where from at some point somebody come in here digging. Look at that blue glass. There's some green glass. I mean, you can tell the glass is from there, really. So, I don't know. It looks like it's got a decorative edge on it. I would say at some point. Probably some children coming here and found this trash dump. And went to having a field day busting bottles. Old shoe. Now that looks like an old piece of enamel cookware. That is definitely some type of old porcelain enamel pot. Look at it. Long deteriorated, but that's definitely what it is. Let's continue on. I'm trying real hard to get back on track. Everything just keeps getting in the way. We're going to slip through there and see if we can get back up by the river. No, we're not. We're going to go back the way we came so that we don't miss nothing. Because if you study back, there's been activity in this area of Florida as much as the rest of the area, all the way back to Juan Thomas Menendez. And these settlements were all along here in the early times, even before Taylor County separated from Madison. There were already life and activity here. It just wasn't recorded as well. It was back when a handshake and a man's word that were broken wasn't answered in a court of law. They were answered in the street with a gun, or more than likely in the woods. It rained all day yesterday, just to give you an idea of the environment that I'm working with today. And then today, it is cold. Wind's blowing a little bit, not quite as bad as the last time I did a video here, but the wind is blowing. Can't tell if that's something there or not. We're going to ease up there and see. It might just be some roots hollowed out. Let's step over here first and look at this creek. So we found our way to the creek. One good thing about this spot too, if you're new to getting out in the woods, there is a lot of roads and landowners around, so it's kind of hard to get lost. You might get turned around, but look at that, the bank is collapsing down into the river. That's kind of strange. We ain't gonna walk over there. We are not Indiana Jones. By no means. Okay, so that's what we were seeing, just an optical illusion. I guess in the real world that would be, I need some glasses. I guess probably what would have helped would have been the other day if I'd have marked across the river with some type of waypoint where we found those concrete. That would give us a correlation. So I guess I need to buy me some kind of GPS. I'm not really looking to spend a lot of money. I'm mainly looking for something I can just mark waypoints and get distance between. If you have any suggestions on something that's affordable that works pretty good, I'm interested in that. Please drop me a comment down there. All right, so we've come to a spot in the creek here where the creek splits. You can see there's a tree laying across the other half over there. I don't know how much further we can go up on this side, so we got to be getting near some landowners. So we're going to slip on up it. If we don't see a whole lot right here, we're going to turn around and go back down the edge of Rocky Creek. At another point, we'll come back and do that side of that creek in the center of this. Today we're just kind of pressed on that. We're not going to, that's not our goal. It's too easy to get off track. So we'll do that at another time, as well as where we found that brick. I do plan on each time I'm coming back, we're going to do some different sections, but we're going to slowly make some cross hatches across here over time and just see what we can come up with. We know there was some sort of life here because of the fact of that brick piece. Like I say, that may have been a well. I don't believe it was. I believe a well would have been bigger, but it could have been some type of ornamental thing, or it could have been a separate homestead. Either way, let's slip on here. Now, to the person not native to this area or that might not be familiar, when you look around, you see all these different little holes and elevation changes. You might think somebody's been here digging. Well, they have. Wild hogs over the years. They'll come into an area and dig it up when the acorns fall, then leave. By the next year, it looks like it's been there for 50 years. As you can see where this creek splits, the water gets less and less. So I would say that the spring is probably on that other creek, and this is just a tributary that it flows back into. Right up there is where we found the tree across the creek. There's another glass bottle with the lid on it. Almost look like an old coffee bottle of coffee. Let's see if we can read anything on it. There's some writing, design patent 50L-110. Old metal lid. Nothing in it. Can't help but take the lid off of them. Alright, I found another small creek that runs into this and comes down. Now, I hadn't got up close on it yet, but the intriguing part is that looks like a roadway across this creek. And if you look, just from looking, I could be wrong, that almost looks like a culvert. So let's get right up there and see what we're looking at. It is. That is a culvert. It is. That is a culvert right there. That is damn sure a culvert across this creek. So we know we are on a road bed. Let's slip around here on that road bed. Wait a minute. Look at there. Old car parts. This is the other side of where that culvert goes through. So this is a road bed right here. All the way through here. And this correlates where we found that brick thing was over there. So let's go over here where we've seen these car parts. Let's see here. I don't know what years they are, but they're definitely old bumpers. Let's get over here where we can see. Yeah, that's a damn sure an old bumper. That'd be cool if we come across a bunch of old cars. And that's an old bumper. I don't know what that is. Looks like some type of bracket for holding something. But that's definitely bunkers right there. So that may be nothing more than just a dump site. And I can see numerous other pieces of junk metal. Don't really know what that is. Can't tell. See some bottles. Let's slip around right here. I was just fixing to turn back. I'm excited now. Found this old road bed. Kind of got sidetracked. We're going to save that for another video. We're going to go back and stick with our original plan and get now on the edge of Rocky Creek and work our way back to 98. Old bush can with the pool leaves. Another glass jar with the lid still on it. So trying to come back now, I just kind of went to slipping where I thought that road bed we just found went. And I've come up on another creek. And as you can see, right here is another crossing. These palmettos have quit blowing. You can see there's posts on each side of it. They've been there a while. There's no cable, no sign. We're right by Highway 98. So let's slip up there and see what we see. All right, so I got down beside where this little thing showed you, where I showed you the post, and discovered two things. Number one, this is the end of our journey this way. There is a fence right there. But look at this crossover on this creek. Old steel rivets. It's rusting away. At the corner right there. I'm guessing that held the handrails or guardrails for the buggies or whatever. Man, that is cool. That's underneath it. We'll have to just ease down the other side of this. And as I say, there is a fence. Matter of fact, I think I see a survey marker. So lucky for us, the fence runs that way. So I think we're okay. But that was a survey marker that I found. It's got the tab in the top of it. You want to talk about pretty. We've come to a spot here where the two creeks meet. I'm gonna try to cross over here because we got to be close to the creek. If you look right there and just say you'll see a car pass, where you can also see the 98 handrails, guardrails, Highway 98 guardrails. We got to be close to the creek. So I'm gonna cross over right here. Maybe it's not too muddy. Let's see. We may not can. Oh, it feels pretty hard there. Yeah, we made it. That kind of looks like part of that road bed over there. Not sure if you noticed a while ago when I scanned, but there were several of these right here. I thought they were just old trees, but now looking at them, I think they're old fence posts, the way they're laying. And back over here, so I'm pretty sure them was fence posts. That's exactly what they were. See the old staple in it. Let's see if there's one left in this one. Or even any holes where a staple might have been. They're definitely posts. And if you've done much time around some of the old homestead tours and all, there was a lot of people didn't even use nails or staples. They'd wrap the wire. But that's definitely a post. I could be wrong, but them last two trams that we found there and the culvert underneath and then the big make-do bridge, I believe those are older than the motel. I believe those go back to the logging days and the logging trams. I don't know that, but looking at the old maps, it kind of lays right in the right path. All right, so we here at the Rocky Creek. For those of you trying to familiarize yourself where we're right where the Highway 98, alternate 27 or whatever it's called, I call it Highway 98, crosses the Rocky Creek. So I'm gonna show you something here. Now this spot I have seen my Uncle Bobby Lewis years ago when we used to hang out with him. He showed me this spot. I'd forgot about it till today when I walked up on it. He said that these posts, and I've heard this from a couple other old timers, you look there, you can see one. It's hard to see with the reflection, but one's broke off there and there. And you can see them on that side, the heights of them. And you can see where some others have been cut off. Told me that back in the day, before there was a main highway at all, when these logging trams run through here, that this was part of the tram. And I believe that what we had found out there was also part of this same tram that come through here. But this was the way they crossed the river. And you can tell those were put there. Those aren't, I mean, they're too straight. They're about the right height for what happened while the way. And so there's no doubt in my mind that this is where the original tram crossed the road. Now, he said at some point there was another tram on down the river that used to cross the river. I'm not sure about that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ease our way down this river, and we're gonna kind of zigzag back and forth through the woods on this side. At a later date, we'll do that side. But today we're gonna do this side and just see if we can find any signs of a home front or an old structure or anything like that. So let's take a stroll. Now later on down the river, there used to be a spot, and I don't know, it's on the Finn Holloway. There used to be a spot where there was a bath right out on the river standing up on a pedestal. Been about 10 years since I've been in there. We plan on at a later point putting some kayaks in and kayaking to that. That's the only way to get in there. You can't get off the water. In the state of Florida, the only public right-of-way is the surface of the water. So that is actually on hunting club property, so the only way we'll be able to see it is from the river. I do have that planned here shortly. If you'd like to take part in that, holler at me. Now, something else I discovered kayaking, and over the past just going different places. If you decide to walk along one of these creeks, where you want to pay the most attention is right up there on these steep banks. Old gator laying up in the sun, he ain't trying to hurt you, he's just trying to get away, but he likes a steep bank. He can get down it quick. Be interesting to see what's laying on the bottom right there, if anything, where that bridge is, or was. Let's slip on up here and see what we see. This is where these old walking sticks come in good for a fat boy. So I think we'll try to slip around his head and then just dart our way back to the river like we did that creek, looking for signs of life. Most of the signs of life and remnants that we've seen, even what looked like to be dump sites, were on the high spots. So today, we kind of identified the low spots and the high spots. So the next time that we come to this same part, we'll just spend our time on our high spots. So our river's here. There's a slough coming in here, so we may have to backtrack if we can't find a way across it. Looks to me like it's just more of a low spot where the river overflows. I don't think we can get around it the way we're going without crossing it, but we're gonna just slip up here and see what it looks like. Also looks like the game have been using this trail. During the summer, I won't mind walking through this water a little bit. It's the winter, it's cold, I'm not that tough. But I do think I found a spot here, if it's not too muddy, that we're gonna try to ease through. Maybe. Feels like it's hard ground. Looking for them old moccasins. Come across these mushrooms. Anybody know what them are? Alright, that little swamp that we just crossed is right there. The more I'm looking at this, mean, those are old ruts. They've been there a while. And that's the river right on the other side. So I don't know if maybe that's just left over from when they were doing work, or, but I mean, you can clearly tell that those are ruts going down through that hole. And if you look, we were standing on the other side over here when I said, don't think we're gonna be able to get this way. They just go right on. It looked like some kind of ruts, like an old road bed that run down through here. Whether it's from logging or construction when they built this new bridge, I don't know. That's definitely a road rut. We're gonna ease up and follow it a little bit and then zigzag off of it. Once again, the river's that way. So as I'm following this old bed, it kind of looks like it curves and goes off through that way. I can see a couple old ruts up there that's growed up and filled in. So, let's just kind of slip here, see what we see. We're walking away from the river, following this old tram. I mean, you can definitely tell it's just not hog ruts. And there's no way anything's drove through here since these trees growed. So, and you can clearly see it's a 2-rut path. So let's just push forward and see where it carries us. I know we're getting off the river, but I bet it's gonna carry us back around to that area where we were at. And connect back on that other side. You know, if you just see one rut like that, it's probably a spot where over time high waters flowed repeatedly. But there's no defining that as anything else. That is definitely a road bed. I don't know how well it shows up on that camera, but, and it's an old road bed. You can see the trees that are growing up in the center rut. I mean, it's definitely an old road bed. We'll come back to it in a minute. I'm gonna slip right through this and then come back around to it just to see what's on this side of it. So as you can see, there's still a lot left down here from the remnants of the past. A lot to explore, a lot to do. As I say, I wouldn't mind joining a group that does this around here, or forming a group to do this around here. Plenty of public land right here to explore with history on it. The history on this place, as far as physical, has only been briefly touched. We're getting off of that tram road. I could tell by the way it's going, and we may come back later on and do it, but it's heading right back to the way that we had found those little creeks. I'm sure it's just an alternate route that was here. Maybe when the water was high, not sure. We're gonna stick to our original plan. You know, even though I hadn't done a lot of videoing in the past as a child, I explored a lot of places. Not so much on this end of the river. But in my experience, most of the places where homesteads have been found, you hear people say, oh, they're right on the river. That's usually not true. Most of the time, they're set back kind of off the river. And the reason for that was back in the day, the rivers were a navigable way of getting places. Any of them that run into rivers or tributaries that turned into the ocean. So a lot of times they didn't want to just be right out on the edge of the riverbed. They would actually get back in places, get a little off the river. So we're back at our main creek now. So I'm running out of time. I changed my mind. We're going to follow this creek that we originally first crossed back to where it comes into the river. And just kind of dart back and forth along it. See what we see. Makes sense to me. They were going to put an out of the way spot for lovers or a stroll. Where that creek come into the Rocky Creek would have been a nice spot. So we're going to ease that way. And considering the fact that that tram kind of run down there and turned right about in that area. We may not find anything, but that's where we're headed to. Some more green glass there. Now when you come up on a spot like this, there's rocks everywhere piled. And based on the location of the creek, the pool area is straight across from us here. So I can actually see the river. We're gonna step up there in a minute. But that would tell me that these were dug out of somewhere. Now there's a slough that rolls down through here. It comes into this creek. We're gonna see how far down here we can get. That's a big old pine tree. The river is straight ahead of us, so we don't have far to go. There's something sticking out of the ground right there. Let's slip over there. Let's see. Some type of pipe. Not sure what it is, but it's been there a while. We can't dig it up. Rules are rules. So we're here where this little creek dumps into the rocky creek. Don't really see nothing spectacular, other than just a beautiful spot. Cypress tree on both sides. Good old mineral healing water flowing out into the river. I think we'll cross back over right here. That'd be a good spot right there to run a metal detector. I'm gonna ease back up this hill. So we come to the end of our hike. Here's what we've established today. We've done the zone between the Hampton Springs Hotel and the Highway 98 as we know it today. I'd hoped to make a few sweeps through there, identify just a couple high spots, and then we were going to move on to a different spot and come back to that later and hit them all a little bit. But as you see there, not talking about the trash and the old car bumper, but the one brick piece. The second one we found may have been iffy whether it was original, but the first one, there's no doubt that that was originally put there. It's too straight, too perfect. I mean, there was something there. Whether it was a homestead or part of the hotel, it's hard to say. You also seen, which I thought was cool, we found an old tram road. We seen the old ground culvert. Then on the other one, we seen the old iron with the rivet in it. I mean, you could tell that'd been there for years. I kind of got an idea of what I think that was part of. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look on some maps when I get home. If you have information on that or familiar with that, I'd appreciate you letting me know. We have not now eliminated that spot. We're gonna have to go back in there and do a little more thorough. I am interested in putting together a group of people who are not looking to rob and destroy, just looking to discover and check out. If you're interested in that around the Hampton Springs, I want to start coming down here on a regular basis as well as some other places. And you don't have a criminal background or a meth addiction problem or can't go out without drinking 18 or 20 beer every day, I'd look forward to trying to get together with you on that. We're going to come back later on, and where the trussels went across, we're going to backtrack that area right through there. We're going to do a lot more research in that area to try to eliminate some of the stuff. So I enjoyed taking that little journey with y'all. I invite y'all to come back again. This is not the only place we're going to do. You're going to see a lot on this because it's close to the house. When I'm low on funds or don't have a lot of time, it's just right up the road. Anyhow, y'all come back next time. We'll take a little trip. Appreciate y'all.